All right, so it's currently 2 p.m. on Tuesday. Hurricane preparation is underway. So all Publixes close at 3 p.m. today. So I'm just gonna head over and get some last minute items, some just little necessities to get us through the storm. A lot of people are worried about me, so I'm gonna provide a more detailed overview of like what exactly we're doing to prepare the house and everything. It's so easy to see the news and listen to certain people and get so terrified of what they're putting out there, but there's a bigger picture that I think a lot of people don't realize, and I used to not realize. When I lived in New York, I would panic about my parents who are here in Florida when like Irma was coming and they weren't evacuating. I'm like, why aren't they evacuating? What, like, thinking that people are just stupid for not evacuating, but there's more to the story than what you might know. I just can't believe there's another hurricane coming right after the last one. So during Hurricane Helene, a lot of the devastation was the storm surge, and the flooding was worse in some areas obviously than others, and a lot of people lost everything, lost their cars. Like, all these cars got totaled. So City of Tampa was offering free parking in the parking garages, protected underneath a covering away from the water. And if you have a Tesla, of course, you don't want it exploding in your house, which happened to people because all the water got in. And that's what was causing some of the fires. So me and my dad today went to bring Tesla and my friend's car because she lives in Zone A. So where I live isn't right along the water, so I'm a little bit safer than obviously these people who live right on the water itself and got the most devastation. All their items are still out in the roads. Couches, floors, TVs, everything you would have on your first floor of your home, just out on the side of the road to be collected. They haven't been able to come pick everything up. Today I was driving home. I was babysitting my nephew and niece in Riverview, which is a little outside of Tampa. And on the way back on the expressway, I noticed I saw two cop cars in the distance, pretty much blocking off the whole road, coming back, and just dump truck after dump truck, trying to clear out as much as possible of the rubble and the trash that they could before the next hurricane comes. Everything's getting deserted, gas is all out. It's crazy, it's getting real. Happy Hurricane Eve! Alright, so for Hurricane Ian, if you watch my videos, I was there and it was Hurricane Eve. That's when the whole Hurricane Eve tradition started. Huge red flag when this guy shows up. Yeah, Jim is, huge red flag if he's in your town. And then this time, things are a little different now, and I feel like it's actually serious because first sign, Jim Cantori was in Tampa this morning. Second sign, Waffle House is closed. Third, the bar was actually dead all day. The bartender was like, yeah, there weren't really that many people here, and we went to the bar and it was completely dead, and a lot of bars were closed, and everything closed down early today. Good news, the storm shifted south a little bit, so it's not going to directly hit Tampa the way it was before, but it's still going to be bad, so we'll see. Do you know what miles per hour winds this thing can sustain?
120 to 130, the pool screen.
Okay, Dad, tell us what's going on right now. We're at the front of the house.
All right, well, the storm's coming. I'm putting up these are mesh storm shutters, basically. They're able to withstand up to 170 mile an hour.
Oh, wow.
Impact. And what it does, you can kind of see through it, but it protects you from about 97% or something of the wind and rain it will keep out. So, and then we got them on these two, we got them around the corner. And then up on the second floor, we have the accordions, because those are easier. Well, you have to be outside to put these up. So we didn't want to go outside on the second floor, so we got the accordions up there.
So what's your reason for putting these in here?
So, two reasons actually. One, in case it floods, and number two, in case at the last minute we decide, you know what, we need to go.
So we're 15 feet above sea level, right?
Yeah.
So I heard the worst of storm surge could be, well, it was originally like 10 to 15 feet storm surge.
Yeah.
So even with that, we would still not see water up here?
Well, in theory. In fact, with the water being pushed, there's a chance that it pushes water above the ground further inland. You know, it comes in with 15 feet of water, and then it's continuing to push as the ground comes up, and then it might actually push all the way in. So technically, we could get some flooding.
But at least we all sleep on the second floor, so it's not going to come in the middle of the night drowning us. So how many like gallons of gas do you think?
5 gallons each. 6 times 5 is 30.
Okay, so we have 30 gallons of gas.
So we're set with gas. We either stay and use the gas to power the generator, or we evacuate and use the gas to keep the car moving.
Yeah, because so many people are like getting stuck on the roads with no gas. This is why it's good to prepare.
So I did a calculation with our generator. It's a Champion. They don't pay me to say that either. I should get get with them and say, look, I'm pushing your project. This is actually a good generator. It's got a 30 amp hookup here. So I did a calculation of how much hours it would run per gallon of gas. So I came up with 9 hours for a 3.4 gallon tank. So yeah, the tank is 3.4 gallons, 2.65 hours per gallon. Came out to 79 and a half. Oh, we have 30 gallons of gas.
So based on the gas we have
six
now.
5-gallon jugs of gas. So we have 80 hours of runtime. And you technically don't have to run that 24/7. You just run it for a good enough chunk of the day to get your refrigerator cold. And the refrigerator will stay cold in the freezer probably overnight, I'm thinking, well enough. And then you start it up the next morning. And so you can just do the math and figure out if you ran it 10 hours. Well, I can do the math. That's easy. You'd be able to last for 8 days if you ran it 10 hours per day. So we have 8 days of time. Give you a little insight into my my analysis reasons for making a decision whether to stay or to go. Hurricane Tracker. Now they haven't paid me to say this, but this app is just wonderful. They give you all kinds of good stuff. So you just click on the storm. And here's the maps. It shows the nasty looking blob that Milton is. But then it shows the track over here. And we look at this. And I don't have the previous track, but this one looks like it's shifted a little further south. Now, see, Tampa Bay's up there. And then the track goes south of that. That's actually better for us because the wind that we get is going to be coming from off the land. It's not going to be circulating in from the ocean, which causes more storm surge.
Oh, so that's worse for a storm surge.
So it's a little better on the north side. Well, I'll say a lot better actually if you're dealing with storm surge to have the storm to your south. Anyway, so this is actually good news. Oh, then I go to the discussion. Oh, I always like to read between the lines of what the Hurricane Center says. So, a little news for you. The forecasters, and especially news media, always want to make it look like the end of the world.
Category 5 hitting Tampa directly. All of our friends and family, why aren't you guys leaving? What are you doing?
Yeah, so you got to read between the lines. You got to do your research and see what's the real story. So, the hurricane discussion is good. You can see it's a lot of details here. I mean, it's really, if you're really, if you're really into, all the details. But one of the interesting things is one of the things I look for are trends in the track. If the tracks move north, I look to see, is it going to continue moving north? If the track moves south, I want to see if the next one's moved south further. That indicates a trend. Way back at the beginning of the storm, there's tracks. Those tracks are notoriously 100 to 200 miles off. When they're talking 5 days out, 4 days out, 200 miles off, it could go anywhere. So I watched that track. That track actually started right over Tampa Bay. I think the very first hurricane notice that went out had the track going, and this was 5 days ago, straight over Tampa Bay. So of course, everybody starts getting ready for a direct hit from there. But then you watch the trend, and I watched it drop south, but then I watched it go back north a little bit. I think actually at one point it actually went back straight over Tampa Bay, but it was still like 3 days out or something like that. But then it moves south, and it's pretty much stayed south since then. So the last few track estimates here have had it going south of Tampa Bay. So I'm getting increasingly confident that it's going to stay down there. So now the question is, how bad is it going to be here? When they do their projections, they have these models that run, computer models, that project where, and they don't use just one, obviously, because computer models can be, so they do models, a number of different models that project where it's going to go, and they plot them all out on a graph, and then they kind of figure out where in the blob they want to put their official track. So that becomes the one line that you see from the Hurricane Center. So if you, and sometimes in the Hurricane Center discussion, they'll say, and we nudged it a little bit north. I think, yeah, in fact, the last one I think nudged a little north because of these models. The other models have it going south, too far south or something. So the Hurricane Center thought those models were incorrect. But when I read that, I'm like, okay, so you have some models that are saying go south. So there's still a possibility. Anyway, so that's the kind of the thinking that goes through my head when I'm reading that discussion. So one of the things I look at, so they call them the spaghetti models.
Oh,
when
right.
When you look at them on the map, it looks like spaghetti strung together. But then the closer it gets, the tighter the models get. So you can see these models have all now settled in. None of them now go over Tampa Bay. Every model says it's going south. So when I see that, I'm fairly confident that it's going to stay south. So now I'm feeling a little better about staying and riding this thing out. And then you might wonder, how bad is it going to be? So we go to the model intensity guidance. This is their other graphs that the Hurricane Center uses. They have these models that measure the intensity. How strong is it? And it's by time. Down here, 0 hours. In 12 hours, it's going to be this. In 24 hours, it's going to be this. In 36 hours, it's going to be this. So if you look at this, right here from the start, within 12 hours, it's just going to start dropping, basically. And looking like this is kind of plummeting. I mean, it's down to Cat 3. A lot of the models have it down to Cat 3 already. In 12 hours. In 24 hours, it's down to Cat 1. So, I mean, the intensity is falling. So that's the other thing I look at. That makes it better for us too. The track and the intensity. The track is south, the intensity is going down. Of course, this analysis on the intensity, that applies to everybody. But the track, obviously, if you're south of the, and I pray for them that it's, that hopefully it won't be a huge populated area where it hits. But if you're south, yeah, it's a whole different analysis if the storm is north of you. But anyway, for the intensity though, you want it to fall. So this is actually good news that between 12 and 24 hours, it's going to be down to Cat 3, almost Cat 2. Actually it says in 24 hours, it's going to be Cat 2. So then, and it's picked up speed. So I think I'll have to check when it says that it's going to come ashore tonight. That's the other thing we look at. But then there's also this one right here. This is good. This tells you how bad is it going to be where we are. And if they've updated this model, this one shows the wind field. So that's the key. So in a hurricane, when they say it's a Cat 5, those winds are only on the inner circle around the eye. The rest of it, as the further away you get from the eye, the less wind blows. I mean, it's still blowing, but you only have that catastrophic wind right around the eye. And for this one, the last thing I said here, it's a 10-mile wide eye. So there's like a 10-mile, well, I figure 12 to 15 mile stretch maybe just to add onto it because the wind extends a little out past that. But that's what's going to be the destruction. I mean, the catastrophic destruction. So if that's coming right over you, that's where you're in the most danger of getting that. So we're going to be north of there and about 30 or 40 miles north. So then I go to this here, which shows you the wind fields. But here's Tampa. That little dot up there is Tampa. That purple line is the circumference of the hurricane force winds. The actual blob in the middle is kind of like the eye wall, the main center. And then the winds decrease as you move out from that. And this line represents about Category 1 speed. So hurricane, basically. Hurricane winds. A Category 1 starts at like 75 miles per hour, something like that, I think. So we're right on that line. And then it's tropical storm after that. So we're on strong tropical storm, Cat 1 hurricane at the most. And we got new hurricane shutters on the house that are rated to like 170 miles an hour. So I think they'll handle a...
So we don't have to worry about like our windows blowing in, glass everywhere, hitting us in the middle of the night, debris flying in the windows.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have to worry about all that. So that's the kind of analysis I look. So yeah, it looks, if you everybody thinks, oh, you're going to get hit by Milton, but unless you're in that like 10 to 15 miles center, you're not going to see the full strength of Milton. The further away you are, the less strength you have. So.
All right, hurricane update. Winds have started gusting a little bit. Obviously, it's going to get much worse later. But for now, we're just enjoying.
Slides.
Oh, I barely made it. It got like 15 miles an hour. Wasn't that crazy?
So that measures the wind
Dude, this
speed.
is good though.
It's what anemometer, yep, measures the...
Oh, it's gusting.
Quick. We actually got a new roof because we lost tiles back when kind of a mini tornado went over, but we had the whole roof replaced, but the tiles are new and they're warranted up to like 160 miles an hour. So that's good timing.
And then recently got the tree trimmed. So basically the wind will flow through the tree easier.
Well, yeah, because it used to be all filled out with leaves all the way down here and a lot to catch the wind. So now it's open, so the wind hopefully will just go through it a lot easier and less likely to knock the tree over.
All right, all the hurricane shutters are secured.
Mystified. If it gets dicey, you need to turn around.
It's already dicey.
I mean, like, dicier.
We're going on an adventure. Wait, Alexandra, what did you say earlier? That 1 in 5 of the gas stations are closed?
Yeah, or out of gas.
Oh,
Out of gas in the state of
That
Florida.
thing says we open.
They just went through a red light.
Yeah, let's go. Knock, knock.
Dude, I love how lawless
This is the
everything
purge. I
during
mean,
a storm.
Yeah.
It's
we're
really
literally
lawless.
living through the purge.
But we're still at just shrubbery shrapnel in the streets. It's not bad enough to where you have like nails and construction and shit all over.
Oh my god.
It's Florida man.
It's Florida man.
Dude, it's Florida man.
Fire hydrant? What is that?
Whoa.
Or someone draining their pool or something?
This is literally the area that's all going to be underwater. So how storm surges work is all the water gets sucked out from this area and then it'll come rushing back in. People here in like zone A have to worry about it the most. Oh my gosh, I'm already stepping in. But we're in zone B, which is a little bit in. All right, mission accomplished. Made it back safely.
That was crazy.
So this is apparently the cutoff of when it's like too dangerous to go out, I guess. Like, we barely made the cutoff of, okay, we can still go out. Like, floods are starting before things get crazier. But it's a little disappointing that we couldn't see all the water sucked out like I thought it was going to, but it will eventually. We have our water supply.
The essentials, the hurricane essentials. A generous amount of Malibu, because you have to make it through. So I'm just gonna add a couple more shots. That's so much, it's gonna be so strong. And then the Publix limited edition guava cherry lemonade.
Ooh.
Can you see it? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
And then you're just gonna add a splash of this. And it's okay because Malibu is not real alcohol.
Yeah, it's not real. It doesn't exist during
And
hurricanes.
you have a delicious tropical beverage for your tropical storm.
Woo! This is the final step, right?
This is actually the first time I've ever tried this. A friend of ours said, stick 2x4s into the side track so you can provide some bracing for the door so that it, because otherwise it just sits here on these wheels and that's the only thing keeping it in. And those, to me, I already figured out those wheels don't seem very strong to like hold it. So that's what I'm doing, is sticking in wood in there, and then you just clamp it. Not going anywhere. Yeah, down there. Well, it's a big battery. There's a 12-volt battery in here, basically, that we can use to charge. You just hit that button. Now we have like 4 working USB ports to plug our phones into and keep them charged.
It's all we need.
You know, I obviously have it plugged in now, but that's just keeping it charged. You know, when the power goes out, obviously.
So
then
how
it
long does
will
this
still go.
last for?
Well, that's a good question. If you're just charging your phones, probably, I don't know, long time. Because that's not much electricity used for that.
Update. Okay, so it's now 6:12 p.m. I'm just putting this video together because I had to put my phone on Do Not Disturb today because I'm just getting mentally exhausted and overwhelmed with having to explain to all my friends and family why we're not evacuating. Like, there's so many factors that go into it that people don't realize. And Mayor Jane said, if you're in zone A or B, you're going to die. So my friend sent me that video, like, you're gonna die. So I'm just grateful to my dad for following so closely the track and doing all the things and having all the things in place that go into it. It's just getting so exhausting having to explain to everyone. So I was like, why don't I just put together a video that people can watch? So I hope you enjoyed this video. We're staying safe, we're being smart, we're doing everything. My dad's super detailed about tracking every detail. It's so easy if you live out of state. This is what I used to do when I lived in New York. You see a news headline, Category 5 heading to Florida. You freak out. Katrina-like events. So many different considerations. Hurricane Katrina was below sea level. The flooding was so bad. There's a lot of things that go into different hurricanes, different areas, different timings, different tracks, different ways your house is set up, different resources you have available, different tools you have put into place. All these things a lot of people don't take into consideration. They just think, you're stupid if you don't leave. Why would you stay? So phones on Do Not Disturb. I've been ignoring calls and text messages because it's just getting so exhausting, and I hope you understand how mentally exhausting it is, not only to go through these things, but also to just have people bombarding you all day. So I'll check back with everyone once all this is over. I had to just kind of go off the grid for a little bit because it's getting very overwhelming. Another thing I just realized as I'm editing this video, I really want people to know is that you can hold 2 things at one time. You can have joy, peace, hope, laughter, a little bit of lightness and fun to your life. You can also have seriousness, severity, discernment, doing the right thing, being smart. You can have two things. You don't have to be stupid and like go out in the middle of the worst of the hurricane just to make these fun videos. But you can go out when it's not too bad and go out and have fun. You can have a drink on Hurricane Eve and just have a good time. Basically what I'm trying to say is you don't have to take everything so doom and gloom and serious, but you can also take things seriously. I hope that makes sense.